I think so. I mean, I think some people think I'm ambitious. I'm obsessive, which is way worse. So like, I can only really do so many things. But Wrexham, that's why there's a docuseries, because it resonates for people, because there's a Wrexham in every country. There's a Wrexham in almost every state in the union, and there's and even the state up north, Canada.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds recently made a rare public appearance together, marking the first time they have been seen as a couple in months. The last time they were spotted together publicly was around November 2025, which led many people to assume that the two might be heading toward a divorce. However, those rumors seemed to fade when the couple appeared together at a football match where Ryan's club, Wrexham AFC, was playing against Chelsea FC in the FA Cup. During the match in Wales, Blake appeared extremely affectionate toward her husband, and the two were seen constantly showing PDA, almost as if they were trying to prove that their marriage is far from the toxic relationship many critics claim it is. Blake reportedly traveled all the way to Wales, likely with her kids, although they were not seen at the game itself. At one point during the match, Wrexham was actually winning, but things quickly changed and the team ended up losing to Chelsea, which knocked them out of the FA Cup. Currently, Wrexham is sitting in 6th place in their league, holding a playoff spot as they push for promotion to the Premier League, although it is still uncertain whether that goal will happen this season. Throughout the game, Blake stayed very close to Ryan, openly showing her support for him and his team. What many people found ironic, however, is that when Blake previously needed support during a settlement conference in New York, Ryan reportedly did not travel back to be there for her. Yet in this situation, Blake made the effort to travel across the ocean to support him at an important moment for his football club. For the past 4 to 5 months, Ryan has mostly been in Wales and London while filming his new Netflix movie Eloise, which is currently in production in the UK. Because of that filming schedule, Blake had to go to him in order for them to spend time together, and attending the match became a way for her to show support for his team during the FA Cup run, even though the team ultimately lost. After the game, Blake posted photos smiling with Ryan and captioned the moment, "What a game," along with a heart emoji, something many people online criticized because in football culture, posting cheerful, celebration-style photos after a loss is usually considered poor etiquette. Despite that, media coverage, especially from outlets like People, was largely supportive of Blake, although the comment sections told a very different story. Many users responded with harsh criticism and sarcasm. One person wrote that the display felt like performative nonsense, meant to shift public opinion, adding that people can already see who they really are. Another commenter claimed that no one believes Blake anymore, while someone else said the couple looked miserable and that they enjoyed seeing it. One user even admitted they did not bother reading the article because they felt People magazine writers do not properly report stories and that Blake and Ryan are not worth the time. Looking only at the photos, that commenter said the couple appeared worried, suggesting that there may be serious issues happening behind the scenes that the public does not fully know about. I don't see two people who are simply hanging out and enjoying themselves. What I see instead is two people trying to show support for each other, and that much is obvious. But many people online still weren't convinced. Some commenters were extremely critical, saying the whole moment felt staged rather than genuine. One person wrote that the couple seemed about as authentic as a fake luxury bag bought off the street with a $3 bill. Another said they were never a fan of Blake, and now they understand why. According to several critics, no amount of PR will change public opinion because they claim people have already seen the documents, texts, and videos connected to the controversy surrounding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. Some even accused the couple of treating others badly and said the entire public display was simply for show. What makes it even more interesting is that commenting on magazine sites like People actually requires creating an account, which means the people leaving these messages are putting in real effort just to voice their opinions. Some observers also compared Blake's actions to the support shown by Emily Baldoni toward her husband Justin Baldoni during a settlement conference in New York, suggesting Blake might have felt the need to publicly support her own husband in a similar way. Others argued that being married to Ryan Reynolds could be exhausting, claiming he often places his own priorities first. Critics say Blake even paused much of her career at one point to focus on family, while Ryan continued expanding his businesses and projects. His business ventures include co-owning the football club Wrexham AFC, a purchase that reportedly surprised many people when it happened. Running a football club also requires significant time in the UK and heavy financial investment, and while the team's popularity has grown, football ownership can still be expensive and risky unless the club becomes extremely successful. Because of all that, some fans believe Blake often ends up managing things on her own, while Ryan focuses on his work and investments. Whether those claims are accurate or not, the situation has fueled even more debate online. In the end, the couple's public appearances continue to spark strong reactions, with supporters seeing a united marriage, while critics believe the moments are carefully staged for the cameras. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have also faced attention over one of their property projects through a shell company connected to land in Lewisboro, New York, in Westchester County, New York. The couple reportedly purchased around 110 acres by combining several parcels and planned to build a very large new home on the land. The complication is that the area is known for historic properties, many of which fall under local preservation rules, meaning homes cannot simply be demolished or altered without approval from the planning authorities and the Historical Society. The existing house on their property is part of that protected historic system, which has made the approval process slow and complicated. Even by 2026, the project still hasn't been fully completed, showing how long the approval and construction process has taken. Back in a 2022 planning meeting, Blake personally addressed the town's planning board to explain their intentions. According to the meeting minutes, she began by greeting Chairwoman Anderson and the board members and thanked them for the work they do for the community. She even joked during the meeting that she had been texting someone asking whether serving on the planning board was a volunteer role because she was impressed by the effort and care everyone seemed to put into the process. She praised the community and said she believed the area was one of the most beautiful places in the world, explaining that when people ask why they would choose to live there when they could live anywhere else, her answer is simply why not, because she feels the place is almost like heaven. She told the board she did not have technical points to add, but wanted them to know that she and Ryan truly love the land and feel grateful to have both the space and the privacy the property offers. She said their goal was to contribute positively to the community rather than take anything away from it, and that they wanted their project to be additive to both the neighborhood and the land itself. She also explained that sustainability was a major focus for them. She mentioned that the property already includes a large field of solar panels and that they wanted to build the new home in a thoughtful and environmentally responsible way because it is something they both care deeply about. During her remarks, she also emphasized her interest in the history of the land. She said she had been asking people in the area how to learn more about its past, and that preserving some of the existing structures was important to them for that reason. For example, she explained that they did not want to demolish the small cottage or other buildings on the property, even though they are only two-bedroom structures. One of the accessory buildings connected to the main house plan doesn't even have a kitchen, only a half bathroom and limited space, and she described it more like a lodge than a traditional house. She also talked about historical photos showing that the property once had a much larger house before it was reduced in size over the years. She pointed out that the cottage they wanted to include as part of one parcel had originally been located near the lake before it was moved uphill around 1920, and she stressed that because of that history, they would never want to tear those structures down. During the same planning meeting in 2022, Blake Lively continued explaining to the planning board in Lewisboro, New York, that she and Ryan Reynolds deeply respect the history of the land, but also have practical reasons for wanting to build a larger home. She mentioned that they already have 3 children and hinted that they might not be finished growing their family, joking about how much she loves having kids. Blake pointed out that she comes from a big family of 5 siblings, while Ryan comes from a family of 4, which means their relatives often visit and spend time together. Because of that, she explained that the smaller, two-bedroom accessory buildings on the property simply aren't enough space for their family and guests. She also talked about the previous owner of the property, noting that although he had considered building a large house there, he eventually bought a different home nearby. For Blake and Ryan, however, privacy was the main reason they chose to purchase the land instead of a more visible house. She emphasized that the people in the town are respectful and protective of their privacy, but because of their profession as public figures, a property that is easily accessible could attract outside visitors or curious onlookers. Blake explained that when they discovered the property, they were excited by the idea of owning around 110 acres of land, even though it did not yet have a house built on it. She said they had owned the property for 4 years and were eager to finally begin construction so they could actually live on the land and enjoy it while their children are still young. According to her remarks, their plans are designed to blend into the environment rather than disturb it. She said they were trying to save as many trees as possible, even marking certain trees to preserve them or reuse the wood as lumber. Blake stressed that their goal was never to take anything away from the community, but to add to it and become good neighbors in the area. She ended her remarks by thanking the planning board and the community members for listening, explaining that Ryan could not attend because he was working in the south of France at the time. She joked that he had considered setting an alarm to wake up in the middle of the night to join the meeting, but that she told him she could handle speaking for both of them. Despite the polite tone of the speech, some critics later interpreted her comments differently, arguing that she used a lot of flattering language toward the board, while also making it clear that privacy was their top priority. To those critics, the message sounded like the couple loved the town, but ultimately wanted to live there without being seen or closely interacted with, which led to debate online about how celebrities balance privacy with living in small communities. The controversy around Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' property in Lewisboro, New York, became even more talked about once people looked closely at the details of the estate they originally purchased. Critics pointed out that the property they bought back in 2018 for around $12 million was already far from small. The existing home on the land is reportedly about 7,500 square feet, with 7 bedrooms, 4.5 bathrooms, 2 stories, cathedral ceilings in the kitchen, hardwood floors, a patio and porch, a basement, and a total of 15 rooms. The estate also includes multiple additional structures, such as a separate 3-bedroom cottage, equestrian land suitable for horses, a stable with 7 stalls, another barn with 3 stalls, a chicken coop, pasture land with paddocks, and even an equipment barn that contains a 1-bedroom groom's apartment. The land itself is filled with old oak trees and evergreen forests, giving it the appearance of a historic countryside estate that dates back to around 1920, meaning the property is now more than a century old. Originally, the estate covered about 84 acres, but the couple later purchased nearby parcels, eventually expanding the land to roughly 110 acres. Despite already having a large historic home on the property, their plan has been to build an entirely new modern mansion nearby. According to planning proposals, the new house is expected to be around 14,000 square feet and would include additional structures like a gym, guest house, indoor pool, and other luxury amenities, essentially creating a large private compound. The original historic house would remain on the property, while the new construction would become the main residence for the family. Because the area is known for historic homes and strict zoning rules, the project has required numerous variances and approvals from local authorities, which is one reason construction has taken years and still wasn't finished as of 2026. During the planning discussions, Blake spoke to the board mostly about family life and privacy, explaining that their growing family and visiting relatives required more space. After her remarks, their representatives handled the technical details, explaining how the property would be divided into parcels and confirming that the new house would use the existing driveway rather than adding additional roads. The proposal included keeping the large parcel, around 59 acres, for the main residence while maintaining other structures on the land. Engineers and consultants then discussed the practical issues like soil testing, septic systems, and well placement needed to support the new home and accessory buildings. Still, the meeting and the larger project sparked strong reactions online. Some critics felt Blake's speech relied heavily on compliments and personal stories rather than technical details, interpreting it as an attempt to charm the planning board while also making it clear that privacy was their top priority. To those critics, the message sounded like the couple loved the town, but ultimately wanted to live there without being seen or closely interacted with, which led to debate online about how celebrities balance privacy with living in small communities. Either way, the project has become another example of how celebrity lifestyle decisions, especially when they involve huge properties and private compounds, can quickly turn into public debate.